Angel Man Freddy was really hot in the scene. You know, he was winning all the fights. And this time he was fighting in South Africa. So with my job, working at the news agency and running Windy City Gym, I really didn't have a lot of time to go with the team. So they went like maybe 5-6 days before I did. They went out there so he gets used to the climate and everything, and the press conferences and the weigh-in. So I was scheduled to go a day before the fight. So I'm starting off from Chicago, going to New York, to South Africa. Well, when I went to O'Hare, I was sitting on the plane for, I would say, over an hour and a half to 2 hours. So that made me late going to New York to catch a plane to South Africa. So finally I get to New York, and I run to the gate. I mean, not to the gate, but to the check-in. And they said, "I'm sorry, you know, your plane is ready to leave." I go, "I have to make this flight. I have to be there. I'm the chief second. I've been training this kid for all his fights, and I can't miss this fight. I have to be there." And I was pleading with the lady, you know, begging her, and she's like, "Well, the only thing we could do is book you through Air France, which will get you there just in time for the fight." I'm like, "What about if it runs late and I'll never make it?" So she said, "Well, that's the only flight that's going out there." I said, "Well, let's do it." So she books me in. I call my house and I said, "Look, I'm going to be taking another flight. I'm going to be going from Air France instead of going straight from," I think it was American. I don't remember exactly if it was American or United that was going out there. So I'm sitting there waiting, and I'm like, you know what, let me take a chance. So I run to the gate, and it was like gate maybe 20 or 22. And I was running with my bad leg. That's another story. But anyway, so I get to the gate, and I'm sweating, you know. I was running for maybe 10 minutes, and, you know, I'm out of shape. Anyway, listen, so I go to the lady. I go, "Can you please get me on?" You know, I see the plane. It's away from the door, but it's still there. They're ready to take off. The lady goes, "There's no way we're going to get this plane back to get you on there." I turn around, and there was a young lady. I'll never forget her. Her name was Louise. She was from Spain, and she spoke a little bit of English, a lot of Spanish. So between her and I, you know, begging the lady, "Please let us on." The lady said, "No way" to me. She starts crying. She goes, "I'm a missionary. I have to pass out some Bibles. A lot of people are dependent on me." Well, the lady's like, "Well, let me see what I can do." She calls the plane, the pilot, whoever she talked to, I don't know. But believe it or not, that plane came back. And we got on that plane. So we take off to South Africa. I'm in the plane with this lady. I get on the plane, and I had seat 23 or 34. I forget what it was, A. She's got B with the same thing. She's sitting next to me the whole time. That's strange right there alone. So I'm talking to her, back and forth for, remember, South Africa's 18 hours. So me and her talked for a long time. And the time flew by quick. She was telling me stories about her mother, that she was in an accident, and that she got hit by a car. She was paralyzed. But every week they go from town to town praying, and they would have group of people praying for her. And she goes, "You believe and you pray, you live a good life, you treat people right, you respect people, and good things will happen to you." And I'm like, "Well, it sounds good, yeah." So this lady, she told me that her mother, one day, after all these prayers, they had taken her to different hospitals, you know, trying to get her to walk again. There was no way she can walk. But all the prayers, that's what she tells me, that one day she got up and she started walking. And I thought that was, you know, I wanted to believe her and I didn't want to believe her, you know. But at that time, I'm like, well, she's telling me, I have to believe her. So we got off the plane, finally we land, and we have to go through customs. So she has these heavy bags, because remember, we didn't check our bags in, because we had to go straight over there. So what I did is, I had a bag and she had a bag. I was carrying it for her. And she goes, no, I'll handle it. And there was a line, I would say at least 20 to 30 people in front of us. So I turn around and I look back and the lady's gone. I look behind the custom gate, and there she was with a bunch of monks, about 8 or 9 of them. And she was waiting for me to get there. I don't know how she got there. If somebody took her over there, that's still, I'm thinking about it, and I can't figure it out how she got there. So finally, I pass the gate, I go to her, you know, we started talking, and she goes, she said something in Spanish. I understand Spanish a little bit. So we, at the airport, we made a circle, and we were all holding hands. And she said a prayer, and when she said that prayer, every hair on my body was standing up, and there was something that went through my body that I can't even describe. And she said, someday you'll be like you were before, with this little handicap I have that doesn't really bother me, but it's there. And to this day I still have it, but I still believe in what she said. So the moral of the story is that plane that I was supposed to be on, going to, from Chicago to France, they announced that plane had crashed. So I was supposed to be on that plane. And back home, everybody thought I was on that plane. And they were going crazy thinking I'm on that plane. And I was booked to be on that plane. But if it wasn't for Louise, I say my guardian angel, that I wouldn't be here today telling you this story. And I wouldn't be changing everybody's life. So I don't know what happened, if it was just meant to be. But back home, everybody thought that I was on that plane. When I called them, everybody was going nuts, crying, because they had announced plane 800, and you guys probably heard it on the radio. Because of that flight, they had changed something on the plane. Because of that flight. They had an anniversary. I think it was 10 years or 50. I think it was 10-year anniversary they had of that flight. Everybody on that plane died. And I just wanted to share this story with you. And thank you.